It happened so fast I barely registered it. 9:03 a.m. Denver time. One hand gripped the edge of the oak conference table. The other held the near-final draft of a $2.8 billion aerospace licensing agreement signed by every international partner except ours. My coffee sat beside me, still hot, untouched. I remember thinking the deal was rock solid, that maybe, just maybe, this would be the day it all paid off. And then Cole Maddox walked in. Didn't sit, didn't greet the room, just straightened his cuffs and said, "We're letting you go, Mrs. Camden." Effective immediately. I thought he was joking. I still believe for 1 second that I mattered. No one made eye contact. Not Aaron from compliance, not Jolene, who'd shadowed me for 4 fiscal years. New vision, Cole continued. More speed. Less legacy weight. Legacy weight. That's what I'd become. I'd given Redstone Dynamics 19 years. I built their contract infrastructure, saved them from a federal compliance breach, and rewrote the playbook on aerospace vendor protocols. And now, this smug 34-year-old strategic disruptor from a startup that folded mid-Series B was pulling the 2+8B contract from my hands, talking about his shiny new 6.7B partnership like it was already done. What he didn't know. Without my signature, the deal had 9 minutes to live. I said nothing, just walked out, contract still tucked under my arm. Like habit, like armor. The elevator dinged. Too cheerful, the silence closed in around me. 19 years. I started here at 26 as a temp. No Ivy League, just a community college degree and a mother who once cleaned these very floors at night. She used to call me her little agent when I stayed late to help the contracts team. What she didn't know, I was reading not filing. Every clause, every signature line, every risk buried deep in legal jargon. No one opened doors for me. I held them open until they stopped closing on my face. And that contract, that bonus, it wasn't for a yacht or a condo. I was building the Harvey Camden Initiative named after my father. He was a machinist. Laid off in '96, never had a chance to go to college. I wanted that money to fund scholarships, trade schools, aviation apprenticeships, engineering programs. Real chances for kids like me. Last year, Trident Aerospace offered double my salary, full control. I said no. Why? Because loyalty still meant something. Or so I thought. Loyalty still meant something. That's what I told them. I'm not done here yet. And I believed that once. But now I stood in the elevator, staring at my reflection in the chrome panel. Badge still hanging. Name still printed under the Redstone Dynamics logo. Hands trembling not from rage, but from grief. Grief for 19 years of trust. Grief for thinking I was part of something that wouldn't toss me out like a malfunctioning part. The lobby doors opened. Security looked up, but didn't stop me. Not yet. Maybe the termination order hadn't reached him. Maybe my name hadn't vanished from the system yet. Outside, the October air slapped me awake. They thought I was done. Obsolete. Legacy clutter. What they didn't realize was I'd outlived their usefulness. And they were still running on a system I had built. I sat in my car, engine humming beneath me, still clutching the badge like it might undo the last hour. Then the memory hit slow and sour. It started when Cole Maddox walked into our quarterly town hall like a man who already owned the company. No name tag, no notes, just a tailored jacket and a smug grin. He spoke for 10 minutes about velocity over tradition, and half the board leaned in like he was quoting scripture. Chief Growth Officer, a title we'd never had and didn't need. But Cole wasn't here to grow anything. He was the demolition team. He moved quickly, replacing seasoned leads with his former colleagues. Fast yes men, slow thinkers. He killed long-term vendor deals, pitched using AI to summarize legal contracts. Called compliance a bottleneck. Isn't contract law just formatting and common sense? He said once to a room full of attorneys. I bit my cheek so hard I tasted blood. He didn't like me. Not because I challenged him, but because I didn't need him. And worse, I still had authority. My signature was required on any contract over $1 billion. He hated that. In private meetings, I heard the whispers. We've got too many old engines running this place. Time to clear the hangar. 2 months ago, I almost got axed. A $740 million deal collapsed after Cole bypassed our phased review system. When the signatures didn't match, they blamed my department. But audit logs don't lie. Our IT lead, Brandon, flagged the override. One of Cole's own hires had forced the change. He sent me the metadata with a one-line message. They're setting you up. I brought it to legal. Quietly, no accusations, just the facts. The board shelved it. No fallout. But Cole never forgot that I survived it. And I knew then he was just waiting for a bigger distraction. Something so loud no one would notice when he made his final move. That something bigger turned out to be the $6 billion EDA deal the one Cole Maddox grinned about as he yanked the $2.8 billion contract from my hands like I was just the delivery girl. What he didn't know, because he never bothered to ask, was that the EDA system was tied to a security protocol I had hard-coded into its backend. And without my digital signature, that deal had exactly 9 minutes to live. He thought he was clearing out dead weight, but the system didn't recognize his voice. It was still listening for mine. I didn't look back at the building. I just sat in my car, hands resting on the steering wheel. I wasn't angry, at least not in the way Cole would understand. From the glove box, I pulled out a matte black flash drive. Fingerprint encrypted. I hadn't touched it in months. But the moment it blinked alive in my palm, I whispered, "Let's see if you remember me." It did. If this moment made you feel something, even just a flicker of fire, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because the next chapter isn't just mine. It might just help you write yours, too. 7 months ago, we nearly sent out an $800 million procurement contract with a forged signature. Not a hacker, an ambitious assistant with too many permissions. We caught it just in time. Quietly buried the breach, no press, no scandal. But I remembered. I spent 3 sleepless nights rewriting our contract systems backend. Not for revenge, for protection. That's when I created Clause 9X. Simple logic: if the signature token doesn't match the original contract architect, the system initiates auto null within 9 minutes. No flashing alerts, no warnings, just quiet collapse. Legal resisted, it called it too rigid. What if a director leaves mid-contract? I told them flexibility is great until it costs you $800 million. Eventually, they signed off. The final approval came from, you guessed it, Cole. He skimmed the doc in a hallway, laughed and said, "If it makes us look more secure to the board, stamp it." He never read the technical appendix. Never questioned the 9-minute window. I embedded Clause 9X into every deal over $1 billion, including the EDA contract. The system would quietly queue the transaction and start the clock. Without my token, it would self-destruct. I logged in from my car. There it was. Token mismatch. Clause 9X active. 6 minutes, 42 seconds remaining. I didn't gloat. I didn't smile. This wasn't sabotage. This was the system doing exactly what he approved. I got out of the car and walked back into the building like I'd forgotten something. Because I had. Not my badge. My name. The one I built deal by deal, Marjorie Camden. The woman who never missed a clause and never left a door open for anyone she didn't trust. I reached under my desk and pulled out the plain cardboard box. No logo. No tape. Just 4 brown flaps waiting like silence. I opened the top drawer first. A photo of my father, helmet and hand grease on his cheek, smiling like he knew something I didn't. I placed it gently inside. Then, my EDA notebook filled with shorthand and hand-drawn schematics no one else could read. Next came a chipped mug from an Oslo trade show, my first promotions paperweight, and finally the nameplate, Marjorie Camden, Senior VP Strategic Partnerships. It had been crooked for years. I never fixed it. I don't know why. At the door, the box felt heavier than it should have. Jolene rounded the corner and froze. We hadn't spoken in weeks, not since Cole started tightening his grip. Her eyes were already red. "I didn't know it was today," she whispered. I nodded once. "It's okay," I said. And I meant it. She looked like she wanted to hug me. But she didn't. Not out of malice, out of fear. I didn't blame her. The lobby felt colder than I remembered. The guard nodded stiffly. No smile. I scanned out. My badge still worked for now. That's how it ends. Not with applause, not even with a handshake. Just a beep, a cardboard box, and a door that shuts like it's been waiting to. I slid into the driver's seat. Set the box on the passenger side. The car smelled like lemon cleaner and old ambition. I reached for my phone expecting a severance email. Instead, I saw it, authorization token missing. 9-minute expiry countdown initiated. I stared at it. Not in surprise, but recognition. It had begun. Quiet, precise, just as I designed it. The system didn't need me to push anything. It had detected the absence. My absence. And it was doing exactly what I built it to do. I buckled my seatbelt and let the countdown continue. Sometimes the cleanest revenge is simply being missed. Then I remembered I could stop it. One call to Brigitte in legal, and the auto void would halt. The system would reset. I hovered over her contact. Not for Cole, not for Redstone, for the interns, the junior engineers, the assistants who still believed in the work. Then my iPad buzzed. New email. Subject transition strategy. From Cole. Intended for executives, but sent to me maybe by accident. Corporate jargon mostly until the final line. No worries, she was just a placeholder. Let's clean up her mess. I stared at it. 19 years, 11 major contracts, 3 overseas deployments, and now a placeholder. My thumb slid off the call button. Brigitte's name faded from the screen. I didn't delete her number. I just let it go. Closed the message. Closed the iPad. Sat in silence watching sunlight flicker off my windshield. 6 minutes left. Somewhere in Redstone's system, Clause 9X was ticking quiet, invisible, precise. They didn't know it was there, but I did. And strangely, I didn't feel hatred. Hate is easy. This was something heavier. I had trusted them. I believed hard work could outrun politics, that competence could outlast power plays. But Cole Maddox made it crystal clear I wasn't part of the plan. I was a problem to be erased. I turned the key in the ignition. The engine hummed low as I pulled out onto Colfax Avenue. I didn't look back at the glass and steel tower. They'd figure it out. Too late. I could have saved them. But you don't rescue people who never saw you. You don't fix a system that called your life's work clutter. The system alert still blinked on my screen, authorization token missing. 9-minute expiry countdown active. It wasn't satisfaction, I felt just stillness. A quiet voice inside whispering, "This is no longer your problem." But across town, in a 38th floor conference room, Cole stood like a game show host before a half-dozen departments. Behind him, the $6.7 billion Ethereum partnership deal flashed across a 70-inch screen. "Let's move," he ordered. "Legal send the bundle. Finance prep final disclosures. Press draft by 10. A junior associate, Michael, lifted a hand hesitant. "Sir, the digital cert hasn't validated. We've got a token mismatch." Cole didn't blink. "Ignore it. Probably a caching issue." "Just override," Michael stammered. "We can't. It's part of the hardened protocol," Cole waved to his assistant, Brita. "Loop in IT. Make it go away." Brita hesitated. Something flickered behind her eyes. Not panic, but discomfort. In that moment, she glanced at her tablet. A message had just come through. Internal CC. From Cole. She was just a placeholder. "Let's clean up her mess." She looked up slowly, throat tight. She'd known me since I was a lead analyst. Knew how many systems I'd built. This wasn't oversight. It was arrogance. And arrogance comes with a countdown. Across the hall, Noah, one of the engineers who helped design Clause 9X, was watching red alerts stack like dominoes. Timestamp 9:03 a.m., the moment I was terminated. He double-checked. No handshake, no token. The system was already unraveling. Still not verifying, Michael called again. "We're locked out," Cole growled. "How is one missing token stopping a $6.7 billion deal?" Noah, barely above a whisper, said it, because it's not just a token, it's her. It's her. Noah had said, but no one responded. Or maybe they did, just with silence. The system logs kept running, quietly tracking every override, every denied command, every suppressed alert. And miles away, past the morning traffic and highway signs, I was still driving. Still silent. My coffee sat untouched. Cold now. My fingers barely grazed the dashboard, waiting, not deciding. I could have called. I still had legal's direct line. One word from me and the system would reverse course. But I didn't, because deep in the back end, buried in legalese, Cole Maddox never bothered to read, was a clause he signed himself. If the original token holder is removed without a documented transition, the chain collapses. Cole dismissed me like a bad print job. Now the system was honoring that dismissal. 3 minutes left. In that boardroom, no one knew what to say. They'd gambled everything on a system they didn't understand, and fired the one person who did. 9:12 a.m. The dashboard console in my car pinged softly. Too soft for what it meant. Contract invalidated. Signature token mismatch. Execution revoked. I didn't blink. Just stared at the screen. That was the moment. The exact second the structure began to crack. I hadn't done it to destroy anything. But I had warned them 2 years ago about the risk of trusting unverified credentials. They laughed. So I built the safeguard anyway. And now, here we were, across town on the 22nd floor of Redstone HQ. I could picture it. A sales rep gasping, a junior legal aide going pale, overrides failing one by one. Cole's smile slipping as the room spiraled. Clause 9X had done its job. The EDA contract unsigned by the originator, me, was void, revoked, locked out, and globally quarantined. The foreign aerospace partner, our biggest yet, had already pulled the deal. Not delayed, not renegotiated, gone. One clean clinical notice, violation of international verification protocol, engagement terminated effective immediately. That line stung even now. I didn't gloat, didn't cheer. I just exhaled slowly, watched steam rise off my coffee, faint like everything I'd once poured myself into. In my rearview mirror, I saw 2 Redstone employees step outside. Phones pressed to their ears, pale faces, empty stares. The first shareholder alerts must have gone out. I'd later learn Redstone stock dropped 14% before lunch, that Cole Maddox was removed from the executive roster within the hour. But I didn't need a headline to feel it. You always know when a ship is sinking, especially when you're the one who built the engines. And the kill switch. Cole Maddox hadn't remembered. 2 years ago, after a forgery attempt nearly slipped through from a subcontractor, I spent 7 weeks rebuilding our global contract protocols. Every high-stakes deal moving forward required a final time-stamped, biometric verified token. Only the original project lead could assign it. Not just a signature. A seal. Me. Cole had signed off on the protocol himself. Never read the appendix. Never asked why it mattered. And this morning, at 9:03 a.m., he fired the only person who could have authenticated the company's largest deal. At 9:12, the system responded. I glanced at the clock on my dash. 9:12 a.m. They'd remember the fallout, the lawsuits, the press, the stock dip, but I'd remember the stillness. The silence that follows the snap when something finally breaks. They tried to erase me, but I left my name where they never thought to look. By 9:13, they thought they'd won. By 9:15, emails started bouncing. By 9:17, the system logs were screaming. I was parked 2 blocks away, beneath a trembling oak coffee cold in the console, and I could see it all unravel. Inside, Cole probably stood smug, barking directions like a man who'd never been told no. Then the first alert, maybe ignored. Then the next. A red bar flashing token validation failed. Signature mismatch. Contract will auto-void at 9:12 a.m. I could picture his face draining. He tried duct taping the dam. Override it. Bypass her token. Revalidate manually. But the system didn't work that way. Because I made sure it couldn't. 3 years ago, when someone tried to forge my name on a preliminary draft, I rewrote the core logic. Not just for security, for certainty. I named the protocol after my father's birth date. A quiet nod to the man who taught me real protection isn't about software. It's about knowing who holds the key and what they'll do with it. Inside the war room, legal would be there by now. Ike combing through logs. And then someone would open the metadata scroll past the approval chain and read it out loud. System owner M. Camden. Cole's voice would crack. Reset it. Who gave her that control? And Taylor, our senior systems admin, would meet his eyes and say, "You did." Page 12. 2 years ago, Cole would try calling me. My phone buzzed 3 times. No caller ID, then a message. "We'd like to clarify a few things." "No, you may not," because the final blow wasn't mine. It came at 9:38 a.m. when Redstone's CEO received the notice 6.7b defense agreement voided. Unauthorized token. Engagement terminated immediately. Their signature was invalid. Their system didn't match. And only one person on Earth could fix it. Me. Clause 9X wasn't built to pause. It wasn't designed to warn. It was designed to burn if the right token wasn't verified in 9 minutes. And I made sure it would. Back at Redstone HQ, Cole Maddox was probably pacing collar damp legal, scrambling for a statement PR trying to calm shareholders. Somewhere in that mess, someone finally checked the audit trail and saw a primary architect M. Camden. Override blocked. Status non-recoverable. That's when they understood. This wasn't a glitch. It was intentional design. I hadn't destroyed the company. I just walked away with the only key. They thought they were locking me out. Instead, they'd locked themselves in pounding at the glass walls they built without understanding the structure. And the match, they handed it to me. By 9:50 a.m., the boardroom on the 13th floor was thick with tension. The $6.7 billion EDA deal, once paraded in investor calls, was now void-flagged internationally for signature protocol violations. Cole was dragged in with no prep team, no polished slides, just the full weight of everything he'd buried. I wasn't in that room. Didn't need to be. When a building catches fire, you can still feel the heat from across the street. I sat in my car blazer, folded beside me, watching the chaos through frosted glass. According to someone I once mentored in tech compliance, the boardroom projector was lit up with damning screenshots, system logs, time-stamped override attempts, Cole's own account trying and failing to bypass the token gate. Then came the real blow. 4 days earlier, Cole had told the system's admin to remove redundant metadata legacy token holders. The admin warned him, if the signature fails, this could trigger a full void. Cole didn't care. He overrode it with his executive key. Now every executive leaned back in stunned silence. It was Saria Patel, VP of Operations, who asked him calm and direct. "Were you aware that the original signatory was still listed as Marjorie Camden?" Cole stammered, called it obsolete language, said it should have been removed. Then Mr. Laurel from the Asia-Pacific delegation raised his hand. "We've spoken to the partner firm. They're open to renegotiation, but only if Miss Camden leads the contract. You could have heard a pin drop." Cole twisted the cap of his water bottle. Ms. Camden is no longer with the company?" he muttered. "They're aware," Laurel replied. "That's the condition." I didn't smile in that moment, not from spite. This wasn't revenge. It was recognition. After 19 years of building something real, they finally saw who really held it together. At 10:02 a.m., my phone buzzed. This time, it wasn't automated. "The board would like to speak with you. Confidential. Urgent." I turned off the screen and let the silence settle. Sometimes you don't have to storm the gates. Sometimes the gates open themselves once they realize the architect they exiled is the only one who can rebuild the kingdom. I was still parked 3 blocks from Redstone's tower. Engine off. Phone buzzing every few minutes. Legal HR a few unknown numbers. I didn't check. Just stared at the building's glass panels as the morning light shifted. Hours ago, I'd stood in that boardroom holding the 94% draft of a 2.8B aerospace agreement. Now I was watching them try to patch what they'd broken. I didn't feel rage. Not anymore. Just something colder clarity. Then at 10:25 a.m., my phone rang again. The number wasn't domestic. "Plaza Ford 1, Zurich," I answered. Ms. Camden, a clipped voice said. This is Matthias Kruger, Strategic Director at Aerovista Aerospace. I hope I'm not calling at an inconvenient time. I almost laughed. Inconvenient? I'd just been discarded like expired equipment. I said nothing. We'd like to extend a formal offer, not to renegotiate the voided contract. That's closed. Redstone no longer holds authorization. He continued. We want to work with you. Directly. Under your own entity. I sat up. I'm sorry what we've terminated discussions with Redstone, but the project still matters. And you're the only one who can deliver it. I don't work for them anymore. We're aware. We also know you registered Camden Strategic Systems, LLC in Delaware 6 months ago. Secured 3 development licenses through a Boston firm. My breath caught. You were watching me. Not watching. Waiting. The system you built is worth more than the company housing it. He paused. You never reached out. That's why we're calling. I leaned back. My fingers curled tight on my thigh. 6 months ago, I registered the company not out of ambition, but survival. And now, it was the only bridge still standing. What are you offering? A new contract. Full autonomy. You'll lead engineering oversight international deployment. $1.1 billion base. Clause control through Camden Systems. I didn't answer immediately. Across the street, a delivery truck pulled up to Redstone's lobby. Someone waved, unaware of the storm behind the glass. Are you hesitating? Matthias asked. No, I said. I'm reflecting. A moment passed. You'll receive draft documents within the hour. I hung up, reached for my iPad. The Camden Systems domain blinked online. I started the car and pulled away. Didn't glance back. Didn't need to. A notification lit up the dashboard. Incoming file Camden Strategic Systems. Contract V1.EU PDF sender. Aerovista. Aerospace. Zurich HQ. I didn't smile. Not fully. But something in my chest loosened. They thought firing me meant erasing me. But I didn't disappear. I redirected. I sat in a quiet cafe, just a hum of steam and ceramic clinks. Morning light spilled across my table. For once, my coffee was still hot. No one hovering, no clock ticking, no board dissecting my worth. Just me and a screen that finally had my name at the top. Marjorie Camden, System Architect. Camden Strategic Systems, LLC. No higher up to approve it, no proxy signature, just mine. I tapped open the message, Final Draft. International Licensing Agreement, $7.1 billion. Ready for authentication. This time, it wasn't about profit margins. It was about energy access programs, academic endowments, grants in my father's name. I'd planned every step over sleepless nights while Cole Maddox paraded my work as his own. Now it was mine. All of it. Voice verification required. I leaned closer. Primary architect Marjorie Camden. Tone confirmed. Signature sealed. Across the screen, news crawled Redstone Dynamics stock plunges after voided 6.7B contract. CEO ignored protocol. Internal override attempts revealed. I saw a grainy clip of Cole leaving headquarters. Shoulders slumped. No applause. No sympathy. I remembered him at 9:03 a.m. telling me I'd outlived my usefulness. But usefulness isn't something you age out of. It's something you build line by line, code by code. I could have stopped the collapse, could have overridden the protocol, but I didn't. Not out of spite, out of clarity. I didn't destroy them. I just stopped holding them up. The betrayal, the meetings I wasn't invited to, the policies rewritten without me, none of it mattered now. I'd outgrown the cage they thought was a throne. A new message came in from the international partner who had walked away from the deal after my dismissal. Looking forward to rebuilding on your terms this time. My name wasn't buried in the footnotes anymore. It was the heading. The system didn't just bear my signature, it ran because of it. I closed the laptop and finished my coffee. One final message blinked across the screen, contract finalized. Authorized M. Camden. They thought they could win without me. But they forgot I was the system. Maybe you've been there too, sitting in your car after a meeting that stripped everything from you but your name. Maybe someone made you feel like your time had passed, like your experience was a relic, like your loyalty could be tossed out in under 9 minutes. If that's you, drop a comment below. I want to hear your story. Tell me the moment you realized you were more than the title they gave you. Say hi. Say me too. Say I'm still standing. You don't need permission to take up space. You've earned it. And if you're still sitting quietly at that job, holding everything together while someone else takes the credit, let me tell you something. You are the system. They may not say it out loud. They may overlook your name in the boardroom, but you're the one they'll call when everything breaks. So start planning, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. Put your name back where it belongs. The best revenge isn't chaos, it's clarity. It's walking away from the place that never saw you and building something that does. If this story made something in you, sit up a little straighter. Share it with a friend, a sibling, someone who's ever been made to feel disposable. Let them know they're not alone. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, not just to follow my journey, but to remind yourself that stories like ours deserve to be told, to be heard, and to echo. We weren't too old. We weren't outdated. They just stopped reading the blueprint. Let's rewrite the ending on our own terms, together.